Madeline Clifford is one of 43 million Americans carrying the burden of student debt. Now the government has announced a plan to wipe $10,000 per person. For many, it won't be enough.
He's made the right decision and he's going in the right direction, but also as people, we don't have to accept crumbs.
For so many people, student debt is something holding them back from everything they want to do in their lives.
The price tag on the national student debt sits at $1.6 trillion. And the Biden administration says the debt will be excused for individuals earning less than $125,000 per year. The amount raised increases to $20,000 for lower-income Americans who received special government grants.
All this means people can finally crawl out from under that mountain of debt, to get on top of their rent and their utilities, to finally think about buying a home or starting a family or starting a business.
It represents another extra month, maybe year. I'm disappointed that this decision isn't really future focused. It's not going to do anything to lighten the load of future students, future generations of college students.
The National Association for the Advancement of Coloured People says loans contribute to the racial wealth gap, calling for more work to be done to change the system.
If you look at white borrowers, oftentimes when they're graduating from college, they're getting support from their families. Because of the way our economy is set up and the way that our culture is set up, oftentimes Black borrowers are not able to participate in those things that allow us to generate wealth.
The announcement comes after months of deliberation, and it's expected there will be legal challenges to Joe Biden's executive action. Sarah Jane Bell, ABC News.
Global economist at the Economist Intelligence Unit, Cailin Birch, is with us. Cailin, good to see you. To understand this decision, give us an idea of how US student debt, the whole system works over there.
Well, it's a complicated system, to be fair. So there are a number of ways that students can pay for their university education, either self-funded through private loans or through these federal loans that are the subject of this new executive action by the administration. It's a huge pile of debt. There's an estimated 45 million Americans that do have debt out. And so it will impact a huge number of young people. The question is, how many do take advantage of this program, how quickly and how well it works to determine how much this will actually cost taxpayers.
Yeah. So what level of debt forgiveness will most people receive?
So the main option is for $10,000 in debt forgiveness for those earning less than $125,000 per year. Now that will be the majority of people who borrowed. We have to remember that median income is somewhere around the realm of $70,000 per year. So of course, 125 is well above anybody who would probably need assistance in looking for financial aid to go to university. So most of those who borrow are eligible. The question, though, is who actually takes advantage of the program. And again, like I said, how well it works. There are a lot of things that still need to be worked out. But initial estimates suggest it could amount to up to $300 billion in additional debt relief, which is a big, big wipeout.
Yeah. Cailin, how do you think this is going to play out politically?
It's complicated. I think everybody's got something that they like and something that they don't like in this new executive action. So the midterm elections, where we're going to see half of the Senate and all of the lower house of Congress, the House of Representatives, re-elected. Those are coming in less than 2 months now in November. And student debt relief was a key element that progressive Democrats were looking for. Classic to the Biden administration. Again, there's something in it for everyone. I think progressives have argued that it's not going far enough. A lot of those more left-leaning Democrats said that they wanted to see $50,000 in student loan forgiveness rather than $10,000, or in some cases $20,000, arguing that helps to reduce racial and income inequality in a more meaningful way. Of course, Republicans and a lot of moderates say that already this amounts to a big influx of funds to a lot of household baselines at a time when we're already battling high inflation. So there's a big pushback from the kind of center right and hard right that this is unnecessary support financially to the economy at a time when we're already struggling to get things back in line. So it will probably help some Democratic voters. It will perhaps galvanize some Republicans. There's a lot to love and hate depending on what side of the spectrum you fall on.
And, you know, from an economic point of view, do you buy the argument that it'll fuel inflation?
I think at the moment, the inflation we've seen already over the course of the last year has been coming from different areas. We have to remember that a lot of student loans have not been being repaid over the course of the last year and a half, really since the onset of the pandemic. The Biden administration had already frozen student loan repayments, and that deadline has been pushed back again by this latest executive action to the end of 2022. So we can't say that that influx of cash, has already kind of driven inflation. That's been related to a lot of other factors, including consumer spending that wouldn't necessarily be coming from the same parts of the economy, and then outside factors like soaring oil and gas prices, other commodities as a result of the war in Ukraine, et cetera. So I think what we're looking at here is a potential to modestly increase spending, but not in a way that would have a huge impact on inflation. But of course, the details are still being worked out.
Indeed. I've also heard the argument, of course, that in fact there are a lot of people, this is a policy that's been inspired by the problems of COVID as well, but there have been a lot of people facing huge financial disadvantage because of COVID who don't even have the benefit of a college education. Is there an argument to that?
Yes, and this is something that we're seeing quite a lot of, and it's an absolutely fair argument, essentially that this amounts to relief for those who did have or are going through a university degree, and there's nothing to compensate families or help to support families who are struggling and didn't go the college route. I think what the executive action gets to is the fact that we have a huge and actually ballooning problem with debt in the United States. A lot of it comes from the educational sector. This executive action wipes out one element of it, but it doesn't address the longer term problem, which is the fact that it's getting increasingly difficult to afford an education moving forward.
Yeah, and the cost of that education is one of the factors in that as well, which is not just a problem in the US. Great to have you on, Cailin. Thanks so much.
Thank you.